Americans say it takes $2.3 million to be wealthy. That's the number Charles Schwab landed on in 2025. And for most of us, it might as well be a lottery ticket. But the number that actually lets you stop worrying about money is a lot smaller. And you can check it this weekend with a calculator and your last bank statement. There are 5 signs you've actually saved enough. 4 of them are cold, checkable math. The 5th is the strange one, the reason people who are objectively secure still feel broke, and it's where most of us get stuck the longest. So let's go find yours, starting with the math. Sign 1. Your money already grows into your number. Sign 1 is the big one, and it has a name, Coastfire. Start with the plain version. There's a point where your retirement savings are already large enough that even if you never add another dollar, they'll grow into your full retirement number by the time you're 65. The saving is done. Compounding takes it from here. You can coast. To find your number, start with the 4% rule. It says a portfolio worth 25 times your yearly spending can cover a 30-year retirement. It came out of William Bengen's research back in 1994, and it's held up so well that in his 2025 book, Bengen actually nudged his safe starting number up to 4.7%. So 25 times your spending isn't aggressive. If anything, it's the cautious version. Let's make it real. Meet Maria. She's 35, she spends $60,000 a year, and she wants to retire at 65. Her target is 25 times 60,000, which is $1.5 million. And this is the part that surprises people. Maria already has about $200,000 invested. Left completely alone, growing at around 7% a year after inflation, which is roughly what the American stock market has averaged over the last century. That 200,000 turns into about 1.5 million in 30 years. If the markets roughly cooperate, she's there. She hit Coastfire without realizing it. That 7% is a historical average, not a promise. So a rougher stretch means she'd want more cushion. But the test is simple. Take 25 times your spending, then ask whether what you already have can grow into it on its own. If yes, the pressure to save like your life depends on it can finally come off. Sign 2. Your money out-earns your paycheck. Up to now, the work has been yours. Sign 2 is the moment that flips. Early on, you are the engine. Your paycheck and your discipline do almost all the lifting, and your investment gains are a rounding error. Then one year, the gains quietly pass your contributions. Your money starts pulling harder than you do. Think of it as a second you, working a full-time shift in the background, except this one never sleeps and never asks for a raise. There's a rough rule of thumb for spotting it. If your investments earn somewhere around the market's long-run average, the crossover tends to land once your yearly savings drop below about 10% of your total portfolio. It's a guide, not a law, but it gets you in the right neighborhood. Back to Maria. She's got $200,000 invested, and she saves $18,000 a year. In a normal year, $200,000 growing at about 10% kicks off roughly $20,000. She only adds $18,000, so her money now earns more than she sets aside. Her account crossed over from paycheck-driven to market-driven, and she'll probably never get a memo about it. To be fair, the market doesn't hand you a clean 10% every year. Some years it's up 25%, some years it's down 18%, and that ride is real. But over a full cycle, once your portfolio is doing more than your savings, you've reached a milestone most people never even know exists. The heavy lifting stopped being your job, it became your money's job. Sign 3. You have real defences. But growing your money is only half the picture. The other half is making sure a single bad month can't undo years of progress. That's sign 3. Liquid defences. This is the boring sign, and it's the one that actually keeps you out of trouble. You want 3 to 6 months of living expenses sitting in plain cash, in a savings account you can reach in a day, and you want your non-mortgage debt eating up less than about 15% of your gross monthly pay. That's your car loans, your credit cards, your student loans. Why cash when your investments are doing so well? Timing. If your car dies and your roof leaks the same month the market is down 20%, cash means you cover it and move on. No cash, and you're forced to sell investments at the worst possible moment, locking in losses to pay for a transmission. That trap has a name in finance, sequence of returns risk, and a fat cash buffer is how you sidestep it. Maria spends $5,000 a month, so her cushion lands somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 in the bank. For the average American household, which the government says spends about $78,500 a year, the same buffer runs closer to $20,000 to $39,000. If that sounds like a lot, you're not imagining it. In Bankrate's 2026 report, only about 30% of Americans said they could cover a surprise $1,000 bill straight from savings. So if you've quietly built 3 months of cushion, you're already doing better than most of the country. That's not nothing, that's armour. Sign 4. Work becomes a choice. Once those first 3 signs are in place, something bigger opens up. Not more money, more choice. That's sign 4, and it's the one that changes how Monday morning feels. When your portfolio's healthy enough, your job stops being something you have to do and becomes something you choose to do. The paycheck is still nice, but it's no longer the only thing standing between you and disaster, and that quietly hands you leverage you didn't have before. You can ask for the raise and mean it. You can turn down the project that would eat your weekends. You can go to 4 days a week, take the lower stress role, take 3 months off between jobs, or walk away from a boss who's been pushing his luck. Morgan Housel, who wrote The Psychology of Money, put it better than I can. The highest form of wealth, he says, is the ability to wake up and decide you can do whatever you want that day. That's the real dividend your money pays. Not a yacht. Control over your own time. So check it like this. Could you say no to your job tomorrow and be completely fine for the next 6 months? If the honest answer is yes, you've hit sign 4, whether your title changed or not. Plenty of people are still trading hours for a paycheck they're scared to lose. The moment that fear lifts, you're playing a different game, even if you keep showing up to the same desk. Sign 5, you stopped feeling broke. And that brings us to the last sign, the strange one I flagged at the start. Sign 5 is in your head. You've stopped feeling broke when you're not. This is the one that traps even people who've nailed the first 4. Credit Karma found that almost a third of Americans carry a distorted view of their own finances, feeling behind while their accounts say otherwise. Among younger adults, it's worse. 43% of Gen Z and 41% of millennials, many of them sitting on above average savings. Their numbers are fine. Their nervous system never got the update. Beating it looks like 3 concrete things. First, you can make a planned purchase and not feel a wave of guilt afterward because you budgeted for it and you earned it. Second, you stop putting off what actually matters out of fear. The dental work, the doctor's visit, the brake repair you keep pretending can wait. Living scared of a $300 bill when you've got a 6-figure portfolio is the fear talking, not the math. Call it what it is, a glitch. Third, you stop measuring your life against a stranger's highlight reel because you know that real is the edited version, and the debt behind it usually isn't on camera. Notice none of this is a dollar amount. You can be objectively secure and feel terrible, or objectively behind and feel calm. The job of the first 4 signs is to give you permission to feel what the math already says. When the spreadsheet and your gut finally agree, that's the moment you've actually saved enough. Not before, and honestly, sometimes a little after. So let's go back to that $2.3 million number from the beginning, the one Schwab says you need to feel wealthy. But it misses something simple. Wealthy is a number someone else picked. Enough is a number you can prove. And the 5 signs we just walked through are how you prove it. Not with a feeling, but with a calculator, a bank statement, and an honest look at your own life. It's not about hitting some magic figure that finally makes you feel rich. It's about reaching the point where money stops running your decisions and you start running them. If you've maxed a Roth, built a cash cushion, or simply didn't panic the last time the market dropped, you're further along than the noise on your feed wants you to believe. So here's a question worth sitting with this week. If you knew with real numbers that you had already saved enough, what would you actually do differently on Monday? If this gave you a clearer way to measure that,